Tonight's bold question, does George Zimmerman appear likable? The accused murderer sitting in the courtroom for day 3 of jury selection. Potential jurors getting their first glimpse of the man who shot and killed Trayvon Martin. What first impressions are they getting from the man they may sit in judgment of? And while the search for the Seminole Six in Sanford continues, we will be picking jurors here in our After Dark studios. Ryan Smith is standing by with our own in-studio pool of potential jurors. Which 6 will make it onto our jury, and which 6 will be X'd? HLN legal correspondent Gene Casares is in Sanford, Florida, where the actual jury selection is taking place. With her in Sanford is jury consultant Susan Constantine. Joining us from New York, New York, Double J, Joey Jackson, and former member of the Casey Anthony defense team, Linda Kenny Bodden. And our in-studio experts tonight, defense attorney Ashley Merchant, former prosecutor Holly Hughes. Also with us to help us read George Zimmerman's body language expert Patty Wood. We begin tonight with the nation's next big trial, a case with divisive issues and strong opinions. Is it murder or self-defense? It's Florida versus George Zimmerman.
I know there was a shooting. I know it took place here in Central Florida.
First, I heard it from TV. Once it was televised, then it blew up in the social media.
I really don't watch the news, you know what I mean? If there's something that comes up that's important or big like that, I'm all talk about it.
Did you place any significance on the fact that he was wearing a hoodie?
I have an 18-year-old who lives in Rome. He was out at night. He was looking, I guess, as people would say, shady. That's the reason they said that people were speculating that he may have been targeted.
We should look at the crime. I don't think it's a racial issue.
Murder is murder, even if you are in self-defense. This still doesn't make it right to kill somebody.
I take it that you don't usually watch Fox?
Not if I can help. You can't speculate without having a trial. You can't know not all the facts were presented.
All right, you hear the potential jurors there. We've got our 12 potential jurors here. I say potential because we'll be doing our own jury selection in just a little bit. All right, so ladies and gentlemen of our potential jury, let's start with a question for you. Does George Zimmerman appear likable in court? Yes or no? Come on, you can do it. Put him up proud. Okay, we got a couple yeses, a couple no's. Jasmine, you say no. Juror number 1.
Yes, he appears very stoic, and he always has like a blank look on his face, emotionless, and just no character. So I don't think he appears very likable to me at all, especially being a defendant.
Especially being a defendant. It's interesting that she added that. Now, we've got a lawyer over here, juror number 3. You say yes.
I do, especially in comparison to what he looked like at his bond hearing. His hair is a lot different. It was spiked before, I believe, and he looks a whole lot calmer, reserved. Humble is the word that I would use. He looks like he did something he didn't want to do, had to do it, and now he just regrets it. He's just looking for some sympathy.
Looking for some sympathy. He's looking for a lot of sympathy from this potential jury pool, Vinny.
Yeah, and it's really amazing because this is the first time these jurors are going to be seeing George Zimmerman. So let's take a look now as this questioning, this voir dire of the potential jurors is taking place in court. We're taking a look at George Zimmerman's demeanor inside that courtroom.
A lot of our family members are like me, and they feel that everyone deserves a fair trial.
Even in self-defense, murder is still murder, you know what I mean? If you just premeditated murder obviously is more of a charge than murder under self-defense.
No, I'm more of a Bravo.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm more of a Bravo channel, like drama shows.
I take it that you don't usually watch Fox?
Not if I can help. Yeah, but not very well.
Maybe not up to your standard?
Tell me what you thought about the picture that you saw with the solidarity photograph about Trayvon or hoodies and Arizona iced tea.
Those ones I thought were just a little bit ridiculous.
You know, they say a first impression can be a lasting impression, and I'm wondering what these jurors, as they see George Zimmerman for the first time, are thinking about him. Let's go to Gene Casares, who is in Sanford, Florida, who's been down there. And Gene, I guess we are making some progress in this jury selection process at this point.
We really are, Vinny. They're looking for a group of 30 to then begin the general questioning. And Vinny, at the end of the day today, they have 20. They are 10 away from that magic number to start all the general voir dire.
All right, Gene, how about what we're hearing from these potential jurors? Obviously, I would think most of them have heard of the case. Are we hearing more opinions today than we've heard in the past?
We are hearing more opinions. And you know what's interesting? In the last 16 months, what have the jurors learned that they believe are facts? Well, I'm seeing two themes. Number one, that George Zimmerman followed and pursued Trayvon Martin, and that to a degree is a question of fact in this case. The second is they believe that some put themselves into the media, or the media themselves made this into a case all about race. And they don't believe that's the truth. And Vinny, we learned one more thing. A juror today, potential juror, is a community volunteer, and she said that the downtown area of Sanford has really been devastated by this case. Businesses are losing money. Their arts festival, people aren't coming to Sanford as they used to before this incident.
Wow. Gene Casares in Sanford, Florida tonight. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about George Zimmerman now. Okay, first impression, I think, is so important. These jurors come in and they see him for the first time. So we're talking about his demeanor. Give me one word to describe George Zimmerman's demeanor in court. Ashley Merchant, begin with you.
Uncomfortable.
Holly Hughes.
Thoughtful.
Patty Wood.
Nervous.
Gene Casares, one word to describe George Zimmerman's demeanor in court so far.
I watch him in court in person. Sad.
Susan Constantine, one word to describe George Zimmerman's demeanor in court so far.
Lost.
Joey Jackson, one word.
Measured.
Linda Kenny Bodden, one word to describe George Zimmerman's demeanor so far.
Okay, I'm giving the word as I feel as a defense attorney I'd be concerned about. Shifty-eyed.
Wow. We're going to talk more about that, the eyes of George Zimmerman. But it's time to focus on our jury. When we come back, it's time to strike some of these jurors. We've got 12, but we only need 6.
Did the Jody area's jury foreman want Jody to live or die? He's now explaining his decision and the toll the case took on his life.
It took a hell of a toll. It was the most surreal experience of my life.
All I know is that from what I've heard from other people, that there was fault on both sides as far as what I could see. Okay. It was two people being in the wrong place at the wrong time, and two people instigating something that probably could have been avoided.
Question tonight, is George Zimmerman likable? Our poll online, HLNTV.com, 34% of you say he's likable, 66% say he's not likable. Welcome to the HLNTV.com evidence room. I'm here with body language expert Patty Wood. First impression, we're talking about George Zimmerman in the courtroom during jury selection. Let's listen to the juror speak and watch George Zimmerman.
I don't work for 6 weeks. I wouldn't get paid for 6 weeks, so.
Yes, ma'am. We don't need to talk about that.
Probably.
So.
All right, Patty Wood, let's take a look at that video and tell me what, if anything, you see here that people should notice and what
Look
it means.
at the eyes. Notice the eyes. Notice both the block right there, and he can't help himself, the eye dart. The eye dart is him remembering that his lawyer told him not to smile in this instance. So you see the tight-lipped smile. He's trying to contain himself from being in the moment and laughing when everybody else is laughing.
And he's looking off in that direction.
Right. It makes him look very weird. Makes him look odd, but it's really him just saying, "Oh, I'm not supposed to be laughing."
All right, let's continue now, and let's take a listen to another juror speaking and watch George Zimmerman's reaction.
Yeah, but not very well.
Not up to your standard. I take it that you don't usually watch Fox?
Not if I can help it.
Just so we're clear, you blew that shot.
I blew that shot, especially when she came up with these. That's fine. I'm retired. I have nothing else in the world to do but play golf. And
And what's interesting there is we actually saw him smile. So let's take a look at that videotape and take a
Notice
look.
how different this is.
All right, so here he is, and he cracks a little bit of a smile there.
Yes. And in this case, that whole series, I think, is what got your 66% likable, because he's in the moment. He's actually having fun. He's very connected. He seems really normal. If this was seen out of
Does that
context...
seem natural? That seems natural.
Yeah, it seems natural. If you just saw this tape and didn't know the context, you would think, oh, this is a nice guy.
Okay, let's take a listen now to one more of the potential jurors speaking and watch George Zimmerman's reaction.
Murder's murder no matter what.
Okay, so you believe murder's murder?
Murder's murder even if you are in self-defense.
So you believe that you're biased one way or the other in this case?
Yeah.
Okay, and listen, there's no right answer other than what the truth is. I'm not trying to get you to sway one way or the other.
I still think even in self-defense, murder's still murder, you know what I mean? If you just premeditated murder obviously is more of a charge than murder under self-defense, but it's still murder.
Now, in this one, we see a more serious George Zimmerman, so let's take a look at that video as well. And there we see Bernie Delariano, the prosecutor, going as we wait for George Zimmerman to show up on the video, but a more serious George Zimmerman here.
Yes, and I think this is where we see the sadness, see the bowed head, and in this case, the whole eye movement here is all downwards, all bringing your eye down as the viewer so you can feel how he's feeling under, down, sad.
Do you think people will feel sympathy towards him in this one?
In this particular moment, obviously, yes, very much so. And I think that's why you got some of those words about sadness.
All right, let's go over to Ryan Smith, who is with our in-studio jury, which needs to be whittled down a little bit, Ryan.
It does. We got potential jurors here, but we got to get down to a 6-person jury. Let me tell you how this works, folks. Each one of our potential jurors has filled out our own After Dark jury questionnaire. You could do it for yourself online, hlntv.com. And each one of our lawyers, Holly Hughes, Ashley Merchant, prosecutor defense, will question them. After that, they'll choose to strike a juror, and we'll eventually get down to 6. So who's going to make the cut, and who's going to be out of luck? Holly, you're up first with a question.
Well, my first question is for the lovely number 7 on the end. Right. In your questionnaire, you told us each human being is different and law enforcement shouldn't generalize based on race. Does that statement go for everybody else? Because George Zimmerman's not law enforcement.
I would think that should go for everyone. I don't think we can put anyone into a box and say that everyone is the same. I don't think that's fair. We're all individuals and different.
Okay, thank you so much.
Holly, who do you strike?
I got to get rid of number 3. As handsome as he is, he's a lawyer. I don't want a lawyer on my jury because you know what? Lawyers take charge. Lawyers will criticize other lawyers instead of pay attention to the evidence. And if he doesn't like what I say, he's going to be my foreman, so the lawyer's got to go.
Lawyers can be fair and impartial. What?
I think
James, you're a lawyer. What do you think?
Well, I figured this was going to happen. I mean, I myself, when I'm practicing, I don't like to have lawyers on the jury because what tends to happen is the jurors will look to them for advice. They must be the expert. Let's instead of listening to the evidence, let's listen to what the lawyer has to say.
Yeah, and little secret here, lawyers like to try to get off of juries. Ashley Merchant.
I want to be on a jury.
You want to be on a
never
jury?
Get picked.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. All right, who do you have a question for?
Question for number 3. I know you're not on our jury anymore.
I'll still let him answer.
But in your questionnaire, you stated that you have not heard any credible evidence suggesting self-defense. Now, my concern is that you're putting a burden on the defense to prove self-defense. Do you feel that they should have a burden?
That the defense? Understandable. I believe so. I mean, if he's going to bring up his defense, his self-defense, he has to articulate his reasons as to why I did this, why it was reasonable for me to shoot this guy. I was in fear for my life. What were the factors that this guy brought up to make me feel I needed to shoot him? And when I heard that, you know, the officer said, don't pursue, he kept pursuing, I just didn't believe that defense was credible.
All right, don't forget your strike button, by the way. Ashley, who do you strike?
Number 5.
Number 5. Wait, she's smiling, but I don't know if she's happy. Why did you strike her?
She has a relative who is an attorney general in Alabama, which is the prosecutor there. and I don't like prosecutors on my jury.
Wow, and just because you have a relative.
I do.
Heather.
I figured that would get me stricken. I was not surprised at all.
Really?
No, not
Do you
at
get stricken from juries because of that? Has that happened in the past?
I've only been called for once and for jury duty, and it was a gun case, and my husband has guns, so I was struck for that reason.
All right. She just can't seem to make it onto a jury, can she? Well, you take your button. We'll get down 2 more strikes coming up.
Is very important. Remember in Arias, we said that Jodi Arias wrote with her left hand and drew with her right hand. Well, look at George Zimmerman. Today, he's writing with his left hand, and yet when he did the replay for the cops reenactment, he pulled out his right hand to shoot. What does it mean? I don't know. We'll wait to see.
Do you recall any photographs that you have seen on TV or in the newspaper about this case?
I recall a photograph of Mr. Zimmerman with a bloodied face. I recall several photographs of Trayvon Martin.
2 down, 4 more to go. We're getting our in-studio jury down to 6 here on After Dark. Holly Hughes, you're up next for the prosecution. Who do you have a question for?
I have a question for number 11 back there, pretty in purple. On our questionnaires, we ask, what do you think about racial profiling? And you wrote down no answer. So I need you to give me a little quick opinion about what are your thoughts on racial profiling?
Okay, well, to me, racial profiling is completely unacceptable, inexcusable, and it doesn't belong in the justice system, but I know sometimes the justice system makes room for it, unfortunately.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Who do you strike?
All right. I'm going to have to strike number 10, so you don't have to go far, Brian, okay?
Okay.
And the only reason is that he's so young. He's only 23. He doesn't bring a lot of life experience, and he's, you know, might identify with Zimmerman, who's only 28. They're closer in age. He's out of high school, so he's not necessarily going to identify with my victim in this case.
Objection.
Objection! Objection by the defense. Ashley, what say you?
Based on what? This is real life, Ryan. Can I just tell our jury?
Oh, yeah, no, let's
tell the jury. This is very real life because when I was a district attorney, a prosecutor here in Fulton County, Ashley Merchant was my public defender. So we've actually done this in the real courtroom. That's right.
Ashley, go ahead.
We have done this
What's your
exact
objection?
same rumble. My objection is that this is based on race and age.
Based on race and age. All right, let's bring in our judge for tonight, Sue Constantine. All right, Sue, how do you rule?
I'm sorry I missed that. I didn't hear that. I'm so sorry. What did you say?
Don't worry, we got a little objection here. I'll let him state it again. Holly, go ahead. You nixed juror number 10 because he was young.
Striking number 10 because he's too young.
And Ashley objected on the basis of race and age. Should the strike stand or should it go away?
No, the judge should you know, this is a challenge for cause, and the juror should be released.
Juror is released. Man, you get an X? Just because you're young, how does that make you feel?
Well, she feels I'd side with Zimmerman, but I am somewhat fresh out of high school. I do see the younger sides of aspects, too. My brother's in high school himself, so.
See, I would have kept you. I don't think that's fair at all. No, I'm joking. I'm just playing. Ashley Merchant, go ahead. Who do you have a question for?
I have a question for juror number 2.
Okay.
On your questionnaire, you stated that you're a gun owner. And so I'm curious, as a gun owner, and one of the few on the jury that owns a gun, what your thoughts are on self-defense.
I think from the standpoint that if I'm being attacked or am in danger and someone's approaching me and is going to hurt me and it comes down to me or them, and yes, I think that's totally acceptable.
Okay, who do you strike?
Strike number 6.
Strike number 6. What? She says?
I have a good reason.
Here, take the X. She is not happy. Why?
You referred to the alleged victim as boy several times in your jury questions, and that just causes a red flag for me.
Okay, what do you think?
Well, I probably should have used a different word, but being a teacher, I guess I refer to them as being a boy.
But did that change your fairness and objectivity?
No, no.
Did you? Oh, so you were ready to be fair and objective. Ashley Merchant didn't think so.
That's okay.
Okay, that's okay with her. You put
her opinion.
Okay, you put on that red button. We're gonna get 2 more strikes coming up. We're gonna get down to 6 before this show is over.
Tonight, we address the issue of demeanor and likability. Why? Because it goes to the broader issue of trust, which goes to another issue, credibility. The jurors are constantly looking at that defendant, assessing him. How does he look? Is he smug? Is he arrogant? Or is he contrite? Those are questions that'll either get him acquitted or convicted of this crime.
I remember his parents speaking on TV.
Our son is your son. Yes.
I remember the, I don't want to say demonstrations, but marches that they had. My overall impression was that this is going to be a very, very tough concept. Someone who is unarmed being shot by someone who is armed.
We've got our in-studio potential jurors because we're getting down to 6, just like in the Zimmerman case. We've struck 4 of them, 2 more to go. Holly Hughes for the prosecution. You get to ask one question of one juror. Who are you asking now?
I would love to speak to the lovely number 4 down there.
The lovely number 4.
And on her survey, she told us that she is a legal assistant, and I just want to know what kind of law the lawyers practice that you work with.
Litigation.
Okay, in what area of law?
Insurance.
Insurance litigation.
Mhm.
Okay, that's it, Ryan. That's all I need to know.
Who do you strike?
I'm striking number 12 back here, and the reason is when asked about racial profiling, she said, it works. And that makes me very nervous because that's what we're accusing George Zimmerman of. I don't want somebody who's going to buy the defense's argument that what George did was okay.
What do you say to that? You were a little surprised there as I give you the X.
I know. I hate to say that. You know, I'm not necessarily for it, but if you do look at statistics and the data, it's just a fact of life.
Okay, you told the truth. You were honest. And for that, I give you this X. All right. Ashley Merchant for the defense. Come on over. One more strike to go.
All right.
Who do you have a question for?
Well, my question is also for juror number 12.
Juror number 12.
Not anymore juror, but
Okay. You're still
previous
my juror number 12.
I wanted to know, you're also one of the few gun owners on our panel, and I wanted to know your thoughts on self-defense.
Yes, I just think that, you know, you need to be prepared in this day and time. And if somebody did break in and was threatening my children or my life, you know, yes, I would do what was necessary for self-defense.
All right. Ashley, who do you strike?
Number 9.
Number 9. See, they can't strike you twice. Number 9. You get the X.
Because I got an objection on this one, okay? You know what's coming. I want a race-neutral reason.
Oh, where shall I begin? Number 9, on your questionnaire, you stated when asked if you had already formed an opinion on the case that it seemed that Mr. Zimmerman was guilty of some kind of crime, even if it was not murder in the first degree. And like I said, I'm going for a straight not guilty, so
I was
gotta strike you.
I was trying to be a little nice.
Trying to be a little nice. Trying to be a little nice.
Oh,
Did I hear an objection coming from you?
Oh, yeah, I'm objecting. I need a race-neutral reason because there are other jurors who said some things like that. And remember, you can challenge if there are like-minded jurors who aren't necessarily the same race. So that's my challenge.
Just like in the courtroom, these two against each other. Sue Constantine, you're our judge. How do you rule? Sue Constantine, how do you rule?
Going beneath the surface here, and we're trying to find the jurors here in this case that are predisposed for one side or the other. And you know what's happening right now is this a process of elimination. They're going beneath the surface. They're exploring to find those hidden treasures.
Okay, so the strike stands.
Yes.
All right, the strike stands. I know you're not happy about it.
Not happy.
Okay.
I'm trying to get saved.
He's not happy, but he accepts his fate. Then we got down to 6. You have a bold question.
Yeah, the bold question we want to deal with right now is, did George Zimmerman lie to police? And we're going to focus on one part of his story here, the initial confrontation with Trayvon Martin, when this fight allegedly started, and George Zimmerman's version. Did he lie about it? Let's listen to his first story that he told, or the first time he told police, which was in an audio recording the night of the shooting.
I was walking back through to where my car was, and he jumped out from the bushes, and he said, "What the is your problem, homie?" And I got my cell phone out to call 911 this time, and I said, "Hey man, I don't have a problem." And he goes, "No, now you have a problem," and he punched me in the nose.
All right, the next time he tells police his story, it's during a voice stress analysis test. Let's take a listen and a look at this one to see George Zimmerman as he talks about that same part of what happened.
when I got about halfway to my car from the street, again, behind the houses in a dark area, I heard him say, "You got a problem?" And I turned around and I saw him, and I went to go for my phone and call 911 instead of non-emergency this time. But I guess I didn't have my phone in the pocket that I thought I had it in. I had it in my jacket pocket, and I reached for my pocket, and I was looking for my phone, and he just punched me in the nose.
All right, body language expert Patty Wood still with me. Let's take a look at this video and tell me if you see anything significant.
Watch his hands here, and if you have this in context with what he's saying, he's very much in sync. The gestures go along with what he's saying, indicating honesty and credibility. But watch when he reaches for this cell phone / possibly gun.
All right, right there.
Right there. Now, the timing is correct, but it's interesting that he's actually reaching back slightly farther than he might have to. When you watch the video later, when he talks about where the gun was, he's reaching back a little bit farther. Very interesting to me. Really interesting.
Let's do this now. Let's take a listen once again to George Zimmerman telling the story one more time. This time, he returns to the actual scene of the shooting. Let's take a listen.
I passed here, I looked, I didn't see anything again, and I was walking back to my truck. And then when I got to right about here, he yelled from behind me to the side of me. He said, "Yo, you got a problem?" And I turned around and I said, "No, I don't have a problem, man."
Where was he at? About?
He was about there, but he was walking towards me.
So he's coming from this direction here?
Yes, sir. Like I said, I was already past that, so I didn't see exactly where he came from, but he was about where you are.
Okay.
And I said, "No, I don't have a problem." And I went to go grab my cell phone, but I left it in a different pocket. And I looked down in my pant pocket, and he said, "You got a problem now." And then he was here, and he punched me in the face.
All right, Patty, let's take a look at that video. And is there anything that strikes you as he returns to the scene?
First of all, striking, let's freeze in place here, because as he's talking about this whole interaction, you notice he doesn't do a normal danger stress response. When he hears this voice calling to him out of the dark, he doesn't freeze, flee, or try to fight in that moment. He walks towards it. He engages with him. Also, what's interesting is that when he reenacts what happens, he punches towards himself. But again, we don't see any fear in his face. We don't see any actual physical response. It's telling to me that he didn't feel like he was in danger.
That's interesting. We've got a lot more to talk about here on After Dark. We've got our jury, and we'll ask them the question. Do they think George Zimmerman lied to police?
Okay, here's the bigger problem George Zimmerman has, and the makeup artists are going to kill me for this. If my hands and my face are burning, I can't be yelling for help, help, help. I can't do it.
The operator said, "Are you following him?" And I said, "Yes." They said, "We don't need you to do that." He ended up on top of me, and he just kept punching my face.
That's when my jacket had moved up, and I had my firearm on my right side hip.
Like sat up and looked and said, "You're gonna die tonight."
I felt his arm going down to my side.
And I just pinched his arm, and I grabbed my gun.
He has been questioned many times, told his story more than once, and our bold question tonight is, did George Zimmerman lie to police? Let me bring in Gene Casares, who's down in Sanford, Florida. Gene, and this is a question very much related to this. Do you think he's going to testify at trial? I know it's self-defense, you normally have to testify, but he's told his version of events more than once already. Will he do it again on the witness stand?
That's right. You know, I asked Mark O'Mara in an interview last weekend something to that effect, and his response was, as we always hear, game day decision, don't know, but he's made already several statements to police. And Vinny, one more statement would be one more potential of inconsistency, and I think they want to be as solid as they can, so I think it's highly questionable.
Joey Jackson, if George Zimmerman takes the witness stand, do you think the prosecutor has some ammo to cross-examine him on being inconsistent in the story that he has told to police?
Absolutely. And the reason that the prosecutor does is that no one tells the same story again, the same way again. And so as a result of that, you could be meaning the same things, conveying the same message. But if there's a little inconsistency, the prosecution, of course, is going to take that and pounce on it and use it as an opportunity to suggest that he's lying. But I do think that he has to take the stand and he has to tell his story yet again.
All right. Ryan, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, before you answer the question, did George Zimmerman lie to police? Time to reveal what's in my mystery box, and I want everyone to take a look tonight at what it is. Take a close look, folks. This is a copy of the results of the voice stress analysis test taken by George Zimmerman. It's like a computer version of a lie detector. The conclusion of this report, according to the examiner, the examinee has told the complete truth in regards to this examination. The client, meaning George Zimmerman, was classified as no deception indicated. Once again, the voice stress analysis test was taken by George Zimmerman at the Sanford Police Department the day after he killed Trayvon Martin. Ryan?
Very interesting. Okay, here's what we've done with our jury. We did our jury selection. The jurors in the front are our selected jury. You guys in the back were rejected. You're not rejects, you were rejected. The prosecution rejected my 3 jurors to the left right here, potential jurors. The defense rejected the 3 over here to the right. So let's take a vote and see how this plays out. Did George Zimmerman lie to police? Yes or no? Okay, it's a little bit mixed. Okay, now, you're a little undecided. I'm going to come to you in just a second. I want to get to our ones in the back first because the prosecution, right? They want you to say yes. Yes, he lied on that test. You say no.
I say no, even though his story had some minor inconsistencies. When you're agitated or, you know, in the moment or nervous, that can happen easily.
Okay, maybe you shouldn't have been struck from this jury. And what do you say, juror number 9, struck by the defense?
I say that minor inconsistencies, could become a big thing. It depends on what the minor inconsistencies were. I mean, they can become a big thing. We don't know.
All right, all right. Now, you had a little trouble deciding. Why?
Well, I agree with the minor inconsistencies that were shown, but then with the lie detection test, that's where I'm kind of torn between the two. So I'm not quite sure in this case.
Not quite sure, not quite sure. And that's what makes this a little bit tough, right? Now, Heather, let me come to you. You say no.
I do. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I haven't really decided if he has or has. There is some inconsistencies, and so I'm going to wait and hear it out.
All right. She's waiting to hear. Like, that's exactly what all the lawyers want the jury to do in the Zimmerman case. Wait and hear, wait and see what comes out. Now, speaking of juries, what about the Jodi Arias jury? We always wondered what they were thinking when they couldn't come to a decision. Well, the jury foreperson is speaking. We're going to have that next.
Okay, so what does the prosecution look for? Everything. They're going to look at George Zimmerman's records when he was in jail. He bought contact lens solution, which means he wears contact lenses. Were they injured during the evening of the fight? I don't know. Again, all these questions are going to be answered soon, I hope.
Zimmerman lied to cops. Well, you are weighing in on HLNTV.com/After Dark. Check that out. 72% say yes, 28% say no. All right. So, Vinny, we'd like to do something a little interesting here when it talks about our viewers weighing in on the web.
Yeah, what we're going to do is kick it up a notch. Your questions answered in 15 seconds by our experts.
All right. Let's start with Twitter. Let's see. Renata says, who gets the final say on what jurors are picked? Does the defense get more of a say, or is it the judge?
Ashley Merchant, 15 seconds.
You know, it's a process of elimination, and the first step in that elimination is the judge who determines strikes for cause. The next step is where the actual attorneys get to say who they want to strike in the peremptory challenges. And then it's really whoever you're left with at the end. So you're not really picking.
All right.
Just made it. Just made it. All right. Chuck says, why is it only 6 jurors instead of 12? And does having only 6 jurors favor either side?
Joey Jackson, you have 15 seconds to answer that two-parter.
Yes, indeed. Listen, different jurisdictions have different laws. As we know, we're accustomed to having 12 jurors, and as a result of that, you have to convince 12. Now, who does it favor? It favors, in my view, the prosecution. It's a lot easier for a defendant to hang up 1 juror out of 12 than 1 out of 6.
Two for one. Good job by Joey. Let's check out Facebook. Sharon says, I want to know if all of you think they'll get a fair and balanced jury.
Let's go to our jury consultant, Susan Constantine. 15 seconds.
Yes, they will, but it's a very, very tedious job. They're scaling away. They're asking questions to be able to identify their dangerous jurors and getting them struck off there so they can find their ideal jurors.
All right, under 15 seconds. Love it.
Yeah, good one. Vonnie says, since race is such a big issue, does Zimmerman have the right to have a certain amount of Hispanic jurors, or can they all be black?
Linda Kenny Bodden, answer that one in 15 seconds.
Okay, no, he doesn't have a right to have all Hispanic jurors. He would like to have some if the prosecution knocks them off. And if they end up with all black jurors after the challenge is expired, that's what they can get. That's true. Prosecution would win. Not my feeling. They would love that. Never happened well.
All right.
Okay, all right. Warren says, does Zimmerman's weight gain affect one side more than the other? Do we know why he's gained so much weight?
Holly Hughes, 15 seconds.
Okay, 2 parts. It hurts the defense more because he's claiming self-defense. Trayvon was tall and slender. With an additional 100 pounds on him, why did you have to shoot the young man? Why not just hit him? That's number 1. Number 2, because he's been hiding in his house. He said he's had death threats and he's afraid to go outside.
All right, she got it done.
That's interesting. We were talking about that in the production meeting. Very split on that one. David says, will the judge make sure the jury is diverse? How important is a diverse jury in a case like this?
All right, Joey Jackson, 15 seconds.
It's very important to have a diverse jury. Will the judge interject herself? No. Judges are referees. They don't get involved in the case. She will only get involved if there's a challenge that's improperly predicated upon race and she has to rule on it. Otherwise, it's in the province of the lawyers.
All right.
All right, and one more from HLNTV.com. How many alternates will there be, and how will that process work?
All right, I'm going to throw that one over to Vinny. All right.
Okay.
There will be somewhere between 2 and 4 alternates. They will pick anywhere from 8 to 10 jurors. We don't know who the alternates are until the end.
Good answer, and he made it under 15
seconds.
Wow, that's a pro.